I have something to ask you. Something deep. Something that maybe you have never thought about. If we take away your roles, achievements, and responsibilities, who are you? Based on my experience, if you don't know the answer, you are more likely to burn out. Unlike you might think, working too much is not the main cause of burnout. The main cause of burnout is disconnection. Disconnection from yourself, disconnection from your purpose, disconnection from what truly matters to you. I see this in the people I work with, people who have burnout. I also know this because I have suffered from it. 10 years ago, I burned out for the first time. And I remember being at work when all of a sudden I was flooded with questions. And I started to wonder, what the hell am I doing with my life? Am I doing this work out of passion or to please my family? For real internal reasons or because of external powers? Do I really believe a doctorate and a paycheck are the keys to my happiness? But what if they aren't? What if it's all a lie? My heart sank. Cold sweat started running, and the weight of the unknown knocked me out and pulled me deeper and deeper into the weights of myself. What am I doing? What is my purpose? What are my values? Drowning made me realize that I had no idea who I really was. I had no clue. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue that this was burnout showing itself. I had no clue that this was only the beginning of a big transformation. You see, burnout does not happen overnight. It builds up over time. And often we ignore the signs. And when we do recognize them, it's too late. We are already burned out. At first, it's just some nudges from our body. Tension, headache, getting sick more often. And what do? We brush it off with painkillers so that we can keep on going. And then our mind starts to sleep. We become sloppy, forgetful, erratic. And we stare blankly at our computer screens and we cannot think about work. And then we go home and we cannot stop thinking about work. And what is the one major sign we ignore? The inability to disconnect from work. We cannot switch off. And instead of being worried, we tell ourselves it's commitment. We are dedicated and we'll take a break when things slow down. But when do things slow down? I used to believe that success meant suffering, that there was no gain without pain, that hard work at the cost of my well-being was the proof I was doing something right. This is how life is supposed to be. But this belief was leading me straight into burnout. I had to learn my lesson the hard way, and I'm here today so that you won't have to. Imagine throwing a lit match at a wooden house. It will cause no harm. But if we increase the intensity of the fire source and its duration, eventually the house will be set on fire. And if you don't stop to extinguish it, the house is going to burn out. This is exactly what happens when people burn out. Burnout is the result of being under constant stress. This prolonged exposure to stress leads to mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. And not all burnouts are the same. There are different types of burnout. We can burn out when we overwork ourselves beyond our limits, until there is nothing left to give. Or we can burn out from lack of meaning, when we are doing work that feels empty and pointless. And we can burn out from feeling powerless, when we are trapped in a job or a life with no control. So, overworking, lack of meaning, lack of control. What is the one common thread I see in all of them? Disconnection. Overworking burnout is caused by disconnection from ourselves and our limits. Lack of meaning burnout is caused by disconnection from purpose. Lack of control burnout is caused by disconnection from agency over our lives. I burned out twice. Once, because I overworked. I was disconnected from myself and my needs. The second time, I was in a role that did not align with my values and what I wanted with my life. I was disconnected from purpose. And in both cases, my inner self was screaming at me, but I ignored it. And the more I ignored it, the bigger the inner conflict and more fuel I poured into the fire. Eventually, burnout set me ablaze. And in both cases, I also disconnected from others. I withdrew and isolated myself because I had nothing left to give. It's a real tragedy. Disconnection leads to burnout, and burnout leads to further disconnection. It's a classic vicious circle. To break it, we must connect. Thankfully, we live in the era of connection. Social media, messaging apps, video calls, literally connection fits in the palm of our hands. So, problem solved, right? Unfortunately, in practice, the more we connect online, the more we disconnect from ourselves and other human beings. Instead of real connections, we indulge in fakery. Instead of real physical connections with ourselves and others, we constantly virtually touch ourselves via phones. And we do it many times in a day. No wonder we feel numb. We optimize every second of our time by watching videos while we eat or listening to podcasts while we go for a run, instead of being present in the moment and in what we are doing. We look at screens instead of looking in the eyes. We put likes instead of meeting in real life. And then we go to have a meal with friends or family, to be most of the time glued to a screen. And the worst part is that we persevere with this behavior. And even when we feel empty and low, we keep on doing the same destructive thing over and over again, hoping to fill the inner void. But all it does is to deepen the disconnection. So where does this disconnection start? It starts when we internalize the belief that our value is tied to what we do or achieve, when we prioritize productivity over presence, when we treat work as irreplaceable, but our loved ones as expendable, when we keep on chasing the next goal instead of appreciating the moment and what we already have. And we continue it when we treat ourselves as human machines instead of human beings, when we overload our schedule, leaving no time and energy to do something fun or truly meaningful, when we say yes and we mean no, and our inner self will not stay quiet. At first, it will suggest, it will beg, then it will scream. And if nothing works, our inner self is going to rebel. It's going to distract, sabotage, and exhaust us. It will do everything it can to get us to react, to get us to change our ways. Silence it or ignore it does not work. And the more we ignore it, the harsher the tools our inner self is going to use to get our attention, including burnout. And this is absolutely understandable. This is the price we pay for ignoring reality, for thinking that we are invincible. And the suffering will continue until we decide to change. I ignored my inner self. And surprise, burnout. The suffer continued for many, many months until something shifted in me. I learned that burnout recovery is not about quitting everything and starting fresh. But it's a delicate dance between opposite positions, between productivity and restoration, between pushing forward and pulling back, between doing and being. If we move too fast for too long, we collapse. If we never move at all, we stagnate. Therefore, we must find our own rhythm. We must listen, think, and adapt. And how do we do that? We need to get to know ourselves, our true selves, the bad parts, the good parts, all of it. We must learn about our stress responses, about our limiting beliefs, and the survival strategies we picked up as kids that no longer serve us. We need to connect with what gives us purpose and use our values to guide our choices. And we must learn to say no to things that do not align with us. Sometimes, even if those ideas, demands, and requests seem to come from us, especially if. And we must connect, because only connection can break the cycle. When burnout hit me the second time, knowing this made all the difference, because now I knew the secret, and I'm going to share it with you. So listen carefully. The secret to extinguish burnout is inside of you. It was there all along, always has been. It's not in productivity hacks, not in finding ways to keep pushing through stress more efficiently, not in ignoring reality and internal calls. You find the solution inside of you by finally picking up the metaphorical phone. Because the only person you have to live with 100% of the rest of your life, it's you. So you better become good friends and organize life in a way that is benefiting you. Silencing or ignoring your inner self does not work. It's the recipe for a truly miserable life. You will not like it, and your inner self will make sure of it. So let me ask you again, who are you beyond your roles and achievements? It's not an easy question, I know. Most of us have spent years defining ourselves by what we do or achieved. But here is the truth. You are not your job title. You are not your achievement. Who you are is underneath all of that, longing to be seen and heard. Because when we start reconnecting with that deeper part of ourselves, burnout starts to lose its grip on us. All the internal self wants is to be heard, to be cared for, to be respected. And a way through self-respect is through self-awareness. And self-respect gives us essential powers. Powers to say no and set boundaries. Powers to align our internal and external self and reclaim our life back. Powers to become healthy, happy, and powerful. The total package. Wouldn't you like that? Because burnout is not only about exhaustion. It's a wake-up call. It's a sign you have been disconnected from yourself for way too long. Therefore, the way out is not by doing more, pushing forward, or waiting for things to get calmer. It's done by slowing down, by listening, by coming back home to yourself. So let me ask you again, who are you beyond your roles and achievements? The answer is there, always has been, and it's waiting for you. All you need to do is to start listening to yourself and start reconnecting. Burnout set me on fire, but reconnection allowed me to create things and to do things I never thought I would do.